Messages from my dead husband led me to a horrifying truth. My husband Michael died 11 months ago. Car crash. Wet highway. A delivery truck jackknifed across both lanes. They told me he didn't suffer, that it was instant. I still don't know if I believe them. For months after the funeral, people kept telling me the same thing. He'd want you to move forward. He's in a better place. Time heals. They meant well. I nodded, thanked them, smiled politely. But grief doesn't heal. It changes shape and waits. Life had finally started becoming silent instead of unbearable. Morning coffee wasn't painful anymore. His toothbrush in the cup didn't feel like a knife to the heart. I stopped crying at every song we used to play on road trips. I was learning how to breathe again. And then the first message came, 2:11 a.m. A vibration on my nightstand woke me. I reached for my phone, eyes half open, mind foggy. Michael, are you awake? My body went cold. Michael. My dead husband. I jolted upright so fast, the lamp crashed off the table. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. I stared at the screen, terrified to blink. Same number. Same name. Same chat history. The thread I hadn't opened since the day he died. My hands shook violently as I typed. Me. Who is this? 3 dots appeared. Someone was typing. Michael. Can't sleep. Too loud here. My heart hammered so hard I could hear it. Too loud where? I waited, staring, shaking. But there were no more messages. I barely slept. Every tiny sound made me jump. When dawn finally came, I checked again. Nothing. Just that impossible chat staring back at me. I drove to the phone store the second they opened. My voice trembled as I spoke to the guy at the counter. Someone is texting me from my dead husband's number. He typed quickly, glanced at his screen, then frowned. Weird. The number is inactive. What do you mean inactive? I asked. There's no SIM attached. It's not registered to any carrier anymore, so. It's spoofing? He nodded. Probably. Someone cloned the caller ID. Happens sometimes. I wanted to believe that was the answer. I needed to believe it. Someone playing a cruel joke. A glitch. Anything but the alternative. But there was one problem. That phrase. Too loud here. Michael said it all the time when we lived near the train tracks. He hated noise at night. He used to roll over, bury his face in the pillow and mumble. It's too loud here. I can't sleep. No one else knew that. No hacker could guess it. I told myself I was fine. I went to work. Tried to focus. Tried to pretend that message wasn't burning holes in the back of my mind. But grief makes memory sharp and imagination wild. At 5:22 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Michael, I miss you. I dropped the grocery bag I was carrying. Apples rolled across the parking lot like marbles scattering from a broken jar. I didn't type anything for a full minute. Then, me. This isn't funny. Who are you? 3 dots appeared again. Michael. Cold. Just one word. Cold. Michael used to complain about the cold constantly. Even in summer. His body never handled low temperatures well. He always wore an extra blanket, always cranked the heater. I felt tears prick my eyes. I typed again. Me. Where are you? Michael. Close. My breath caught in my throat. Close. I turned my head slowly and looked across the living room at the empty couch. The place he used to sit with his laptop, laughing at memes and trying to show me some ridiculous video he found. I don't know what scared me more. The idea someone hacked me. Or the idea no one had. I texted. Me, what do you want? Long pause. Dots. Stop, dots again. Then, Michael, you promised you wouldn't leave. My blood froze. He had said that exact sentence the night before he died. In the car, holding my hand. We were planning a weekend getaway, talking about how busy life got, how easy it was to drift apart. He squeezed my fingers gently and whispered, "Don't leave me, okay? Let's not be that couple." And I kissed his palm and said, "I'm not going anywhere." Now someone, or something, had repeated it back to me, word for word. I didn't turn on the lights. Just sat on the couch, clutching a blanket like a child. Every sound felt amplified. The creaking of the refrigerator, a distant dog barking, the neighbor's television through the wall. At 1:47 a.m. another text arrived. Michael, you forgot me. My throat closed. Me, I didn't. I never forgot you. Michael, you cleaned the closet. I felt my heart drop into my stomach. That morning, before work, I had moved the last of his jackets into storage. I told myself it was progress. No one knew. No one saw. Except now, someone did. I typed with trembling fingers. Me. How do you know that? Michael. I watch. I stood up like something was about to explode inside me. My eyes darted around the dark apartment. Living room. Kitchen doorway. Hallway. Bedroom door cracked open. Everything looked normal. Everything felt wrong. I whispered into the empty room, voice cracking. Michael? Silence. Then, a single knock. From the bedroom. Slow. Heavy. Like knuckles on wood. I froze. Not breathing. Another knock. Same door. Same rhythm. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. My phone buzzed again. Michael. Cold in there. Not here. Not my phone. There. The bedroom. I backed away as quietly as I could, hand covering my mouth so I wouldn't scream. And then, soft footsteps. Inside the room. Moving toward the door. I ran. Out of the apartment, down the stairs, barefoot, shaking so hard I nearly fell. I didn't stop until I reached my car and locked myself inside. I stayed there until dawn. When I finally came back home, the apartment was silent. Nothing disturbed. No footprints. No open windows. Just me and my ruined nerves. My phone buzzed one more time. Michael, don't run again. That's when the fear changed shape. It wasn't terror anymore. It was dread. Deep, sinking dread. Because ghosts don't send texts. Ghosts don't knock on doors. And if it wasn't a ghost, then someone. Somewhere nearby. Knew things they shouldn't. Things only Michael could know. And somehow they were inside my home. I didn't call the police. I know how that sounds. Stupid, reckless. But what was I supposed to say? Hi, my dead husband is texting me and knocking in my bedroom. They'd lock me in a psych ward before sending a patrol car. So I did the only thing that made sense to a half-broken mind. I pretended nothing happened. Went to work. Answered emails. Smiled at coworkers. Told myself I'd slept badly and imagined the knocks. Denial is a survival mechanism, at least for a while. But the world doesn't wait for you to feel ready. 3 days passed with no texts. 3 days of silence. I started thinking maybe it was done. Whoever it was got bored. Or maybe I had hallucinated more than I wanted to admit. Then my phone rang, his ringtone. The one he used. Our stupid little inside joke song. A piano version of Mr. Brightside, because he always said life should be dramatic even in mundane places. Seeing that tune light up the lock screen again nearly made me throw up. Michael. Calling? My hand wouldn't move. It just hovered above the screen, shaking. The phone rang and rang until it cut off. Then a voicemail notification appeared. I stared at it for a full minute before I pressed play. Static first. Then breathing. Slow, uneven, like someone trying not to sob. Then a whisper. Cold. A shuffle. Like the phone rubbed against clothing. And then, why did you let go? My breath hitched. Michael? I whispered into the empty room like a child calling into a closet monster. Silence. Then a sound I will never forget. A distant car horn. Screeching tires. Crumpling metal. The crash. The crash that killed him. Recorded. Played back to me. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor so hard the case cracked. I curled up on the couch and shook for a long time. Not crying, not screaming. Just shaking like my nerves were being cut one by one. That evening, I tried to distract myself by logging into his old iCloud account. I still had his passwords. He always joked I should have access in case he got kidnapped by aliens or did something stupid. Morbidly funny, in hindsight. The login worked. His photos appeared. Vacations. Dinners. The beach. The dog we planned to adopt but never got around to. Memories frozen in time. Untouched since the week he died. Then I checked Find My Phone. Just in case. It showed his phone is offline. But then, for half a second. Less. A green dot flickered on the map. My city. My street. My building. And then vanished. I felt the air leave my lungs. If someone was spoofing his phone, they were close. I knew I looked unhinged when I showed up to my grief counselor the next morning without an appointment. Hair messy, clothes mismatched, voice trembling with emotion. I couldn't swallow anymore. Lily, she said gently, you need sleep. I need truth, I answered. I'm not delusional. Someone is doing this. Her expression softened. Sympathy. Concern. Pity. The three faces grief hates the most. Grief can mimic reality, she said softly. Hearing voices, sensing presence, feeling watched. These are common. I slammed my hand on her table. I am not imagining texts from a disconnected number. Her polite facade cracked. She flinched, almost imperceptibly. After a long pause, she leaned forward. Have you considered someone could be stalking you? She whispered. Not comforting. Not insane. Just quietly terrified. I swallowed. Hard. Yes. And does anyone benefit from tormenting you? I froze. Because I realized something in that moment. I trusted Michael completely. But grief blinds you to many truths. He had business partners, old coworkers, relatives who resented me. And there was one more thing, a secret I'd buried so deep I pretended it didn't exist. Michael had been acting strange the month before he died. Withdrawing, hiding messages on his phone, making late-night calls outside. And once, just once, I'd overheard him say, "She can't find out." Not yet. At the time, I forced myself to believe it was a birthday surprise or something innocent. Now, I didn't know what to believe. I drove straight from therapy to the storage facility where I'd put his last belongings. The stuff I couldn't bear to look at but couldn't throw away. His jacket, his books, his phone, smashed in the crash, returned to me in a sealed bag. They had told me it was destroyed, unusable. But grief does strange things to judgment. I sat on the cold concrete floor, ripped the bag open, and pulled the phone out. Screen shattered. Corners crushed. No power. But when I held it, it vibrated. Once. A single weak buzz. Like a dying heartbeat. Then the screen flickered. White. Black. White again. And then a lock screen appeared. Not cracked. Not damaged. Perfect. His wallpaper. Our photo. Smiling on the pier in Santa Monica. Battery. 1%. Signal. Bars. None. Time. 2:11 a.m. The exact time of the first text. My fingers trembled as I reached for it. Slowly, like approaching something alive and frightened. The phone vibrated again. A notification slid across the broken glass. Michael sent you a message. Before I could unlock it, the screen went black. Battery dead. Truly dead. No revival this time. I sat there staring at the lifeless device, surrounded by concrete walls and fluorescent lights humming overhead. And for the first time since it started, I whispered the truth out loud. I don't think this is a person, because if someone were doing this, they would need to know everything. Private phrases. Unshared memories. Moments no one else on Earth witnessed. No stalker has access to that. No hacker can steal that. Only he ever knew. I drove home shaking, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles whitened. When I entered my apartment, the air felt wrong. Too still, too heavy, as if someone had been there and just left moments before. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I did. Michael, don't go to the storage again. It hurts. I felt my stomach drop. I whispered, voice breaking. What are you? A moment later. Michael, cold. Then, Michael, lonely. Then finally, Michael, don't leave me again. And this time, another message followed immediately after. Unknown device. Connected to your home Fi. My veins turned to ice. Someone, or something, was inside my digital life now. Not just texting. Inside the house network. Inside my home. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I sat in the kitchen with every light on, car keys in my hand, phone face down on the table like it was a live explosive. Every small sound made my muscles jerk. I kept replaying the last message. Unknown device connected to your home Wi-Fi. Meaning, it wasn't just texts anymore. Whoever, or whatever. It was inside my network. If it was a person, they'd have to be close enough to access my router. I stared at the router lights. 2 blinked. 1 stayed solid. Was that normal? Had it always done that? Fear erodes logic fast. Around 4:30 a.m., someone knocked. 3 soft taps. Not threatening. Worse. Polite. Patient. I froze. Another knock. Slightly louder. I crept to the peephole. It was my downstairs neighbor. The quiet one, glasses, always listening to classical music through thin walls. His face looked worried. I cracked the door open an inch. Yes? He whispered, like afraid someone else might hear. Are you okay? I heard crying. Crying? Had I been crying without noticing? I'm fine. I lied. He hesitated, then added. The last few nights, I thought I heard someone in your place talking. A man? My blood turned to ice. What did they say? He shook his head. Couldn't make it out. Just low. Constant. I forced a smile. Must have been the TV. He didn't believe it. I could see it in his face. Then he leaned slightly closer, voice barely audible. If you ever feel unsafe, knock 3 times on my door. I nodded, shut the door, locked it, then double locked it. 3 knocks. Like the ones that woke me. It didn't feel comforting. It felt like a signal. A code in a place that suddenly felt coded. Like a game where everyone else knows the rules except me. I called a tech security guy from a forum. I didn't tell him the whole truth. Just said I thought someone hacked my phone and Wi-Fi. He ran diagnostics remotely. Your phone's clean, he said. No spyware. Relief. Temporary. But he paused. Your network has phantom access spikes. What does that mean? Connections appear that aren't tied to devices, like a ghost device. Not normal at all. My stomach twisted. Can you see where it's coming from? Yes. Silence. Keyboard clicking. Then quietly. It's coming from inside your local range. For example, same building. Maybe even same apartment. My skin crawled. He cleared his throat. You should consider calling law enforcement if there's a break-in. I thanked him and hung up, shaking. If someone was physically inside my walls, that was one nightmare. If not, then this was something else. And that was somehow worse. I avoided our bedroom for days. Slept on the couch, shoes on, lamp on, body wired like electricity. But grief does strange things to bravery. And curiosity is a cruel companion. On the third morning, while sunlight filtered through the blinds, I forced myself into the bedroom. Everything looked normal. Neat bed. Books on the nightstand. His pillow still there, dented slightly like he'd just gotten up. I opened his bedside drawer. Inside were things I knew. Receipts, earbuds, gum wrappers. And something I didn't. A small leather notebook. I sat on the bed and opened it. The first pages were normal. Work notes, random to-dos. Then the tone changed. Messier handwriting. Dates leading up to his death. Can't sleep. Noise at night. Cold. Shadows in corners. She doesn't see it. Something in the walls. Following me. Whispering when I closed my eyes. My blood chilled. He had felt this too. The last entry was nearly illegible, strokes desperate, frantic. It wants me. Won't leave. Cold hands. Cold breath. Door won't open. She doesn't hear it. Tell her I didn't want to go. There was a smear under the last line. Like water damage. Or tears. I shut the book fast, chest heaving. Something had been happening to him before the accident. Something he hid to protect me. Only now did it feel like he wasn't protecting me at all. He was warning me. Too late. That night, lying on the couch again, staring at the ceiling, the text started up once more. Michael, I found you. I didn't reply. Michael, don't hide. Silence. Then, Michael, look behind you. I went rigid. I didn't turn. Didn't breathe. Didn't move a muscle. Instead, I grabbed the phone with shaking fingers and opened the apartment's Wi-Fi camera app, the one I installed that day for safety. Only one feed was active. The living room camera pointed toward me. For a moment, just static fuzzed on screen. Then the image sharpened. I saw myself, frozen, terrified, blanket clutched at my chest. And behind me, in the hallway, a shape, human height, human outline, no features, just presence. Like a silhouette made of cold air, watching me. I gasped so hard I choked, dropped the phone, scrambled off the couch and ran to the bathroom, locking the door, sliding down the tile into a shaking ball of panic. On the floor, the phone vibrated again. I didn't want to look. I did anyway. Michael, stop running. Then, Michael, you promised. Then one more, seconds later. Michael, don't make me cold again. I covered my mouth so I wouldn't scream. Because now the truth was settling in. Suffocating, heavy, undeniable. Maybe this wasn't someone pretending to be him. Maybe it was him. But not the man I loved. Not anymore. Grief resurrects memory. Death resurrects something else. Something cold. Something lonely. Something that didn't want to be alone in the dark anymore. My husband Michael died 11 months ago. Car crash. Wet highway. A delivery truck jackknifed across both lanes. They told me he didn't suffer. That it was instant. I still don't know if I believe them. For months after the funeral, people kept telling me the same thing. He'd want you to move forward. He's in a better place. Time heals. They meant well. I nodded, thanked them, smiled politely. But grief doesn't heal. It changes shape and waits. Life had finally started becoming silent instead of unbearable. Morning coffee wasn't painful anymore. His toothbrush in the cup didn't feel like a knife to the heart. I stopped crying at every song we used to play on road trips. I was learning how to breathe again. And then the first message came, 2:11 a.m. A vibration on my nightstand woke me. I reached for my phone, eyes half open, mind foggy. Michael, are you awake? My body went cold. Michael. My dead husband. I jolted upright so fast, the lamp crashed off the table. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. I stared at the screen, terrified to blink. Same number. Same name. Same chat history. The thread I hadn't opened since the day he died. My hands shook violently as I typed. Me. Who is this? 3 dots appeared. Someone was typing. Michael. Can't sleep. Too loud here. My heart hammered so hard I could hear it. Too loud where? I waited, staring, shaking. But there were no more messages. I barely slept. Every tiny sound made me jump. When dawn finally came, I checked again. Nothing. Just that impossible chat staring back at me. I drove to the phone store the second they opened. My voice trembled as I spoke to the guy at the counter. Someone is texting me from my dead husband's number. He typed quickly, glanced at his screen, then frowned. Weird. The number is inactive. What do you mean inactive? I asked. There's no SIM attached. It's not registered to any carrier anymore, so. It's spoofing? He nodded. Probably. Someone cloned the caller ID. Happens sometimes. I wanted to believe that was the answer. I needed to believe it. Someone playing a cruel joke. A glitch. Anything but the alternative. But there was one problem. That phrase. Too loud here. Michael said it all the time when we lived near the train tracks. He hated noise at night. He used to roll over, bury his face in the pillow and mumble. It's too loud here. I can't sleep. No one else knew that. No hacker could guess it.